Hi everyone, it's Jen, and I am making this little short excerpt of video to slip in for you, just because there's a couple options I want to give you before I finish this book up. So when I originally designed this book was going to have a 2.5-inch spine. Somehow when I cut it at 2, and I want to put this in so you have options before you do any cutting when you get to the actual tutorial that will follow this. So the option is this first signature, which I already have in. What I did with this is I cut my 1/2 inch. So our pages have the 1/2 inch, the gusset that goes onto the spine, then our 1/4 inch give space, and then our page. What you can do is you can just cut this one down so that your 1/2 inch that goes on the spine is a 1/4 inch. That gives you plenty of room between the signature and the front. If you don't like that and you want to keep this at 1/2 of an inch all the way through, because what this is going to do is going to give you a 1/4 inch space in the back and the front, and then 1/2 inch spaces between the other pages. If you prefer to have 1/2 inch all the way across, then you'll need to make your spine 2.5 inches rather than the 2 inches that I do in the tutorial. That would mean that you would need a 2.5 by 8 inch piece of chipboard and a 5.5 by 10 inch piece of the paper to wrap it in the lay flat. Okay, so that's that. So the next little option I want to make sure I give you, when you open these two pages, when this is open flat like this, you have these two flaps, okay? For mine, I didn't put any kind of a closure on them. Now, they're heavy enough that you don't have to, but if you want a closure, you can put a magnet on both of them. So you would put a magnet under this white paper here and one under this white paper, and the same on this side. If you'd rather not use magnets, you can do a tie, or you can do a little pocket off to the side just by cutting a little small pocket here and sliding a tag or something in to hold it closed. So those are the options. I just want to make sure that I gave those to you. And so following this, we'll have the tutorial. Start with the cover. And let me just tell you what you need as far as pieces. I don't have a cut guide, so I will give you the measurements. So for the heavy chipboard, you need 2 pieces that are 6 by 8 and one that is 2 by 8. And I already have mine covered with score tape sheets. We will also need 2 sheets that are 8 by 10. One that is 5 by 10 and one that is 5 by 7 and 7/8. And I am using Artisan Black for this. And I feel like my camera's a little off, so I'm going to fix it. Sorry for that. All right. So the first thing you want to do is we're going to grab, and I'm going to do this in the lay flat method. And rather than posting a link this time, I'm just going to go ahead and do the cover. Place one of your 8 by 10s down in your scoreboard. And your 1-inch spacers. If you don't have 1-inch spacers, you can make some with chipboard. Just make sure that you have 1 inch. And then I am going to grab, as soon as I find it, my pokey tool here. And I am going to peel off my score tape from one of my 6 by 8 chipboard one pieces. And I just want to get this right up in that corner and push it up in. Okay, I'm going to set that one aside and grab the other 6 by 8. Do the same thing. We're just going to grab our 1-inch spacers and put them in. Get the backing off my score tape here. And put my other 6 by 8 in. Okay, and then for our spine, we're going to take our 5 by 10, put that one in, put a 1-inch spacer at the top, and you need 1.5. Again, if you don't have spacers, you can mark this or make some out of chipboard, but these are great to have. These are amazing tools. So this one is 1 inch across the top, 1.5 inches on the side. And then we're just going to grab our spine, and we're going to do the same thing. Okay, now we have all of our pieces. I'm going to pull my scoreboard out for a moment. Grab a couple tools. And we will start with the spine because I like to let that dry. And I am just making sure that all of my tape is smoothed onto there nicely. And then I am going to grab a bone folder. Actually, I'm going to bend this first. I'm going to bend the paper around all the sides of the spine to get it started. And then I am just going to run my bone folder up against it. And do this gently. Artisan, if you're using Artisan like I am, it's very durable. However, it is still paper. And depending on your bone folder, if you're not careful, you can pop a hole in your paper, and you don't want to do that, obviously. So I'm just going around just to kind of see where all that is. And then what I am going to do is I'm going to grab my glue, and I'm going to put it right at the edge here of my chipboard and just down about 1/8 of an inch on the side. And then I'm going to run glue all along here and pick that up. And grab a rag. And you just want to burnish this out by pushing until it lays down. So you want to make sure this goes right up against that chipboard. And there are various ways to do this. Some people cut this first. Some people do it the way that I'm doing. It's just a matter of preference, but I like to get mine prepped and let it dry while I get the covers together. Again, I'm just adding that glue all along there. I'll pull that up. And you'll see it will try to give on you when you're pushing it up against the spine piece here, up against the chipboard. It'll try to lift. And we don't want it to lift. We want it to lay down. Okay, I'm just going to set this aside and let that dry. I almost said paint, I meant glue. Grab one of your 6x8s, and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to go around, and we are going to get a good bend on all of these. And make sure that everything, so you can tell that my paper was cut a little off there because it didn't fold properly. Okay, and I'm just going to run this guy up those sides. I'm actually going to use this bone folder. I'll do the same on my sides here. And the more you burnish before you cut, the better your cuts will be, I have found anyways. All right, so now you can see that you have these little squares where we've done scoring and folding. I'm gonna grab a pair of sharp scissors, and what I want to do is just miter, leaving just a little bit of that hanging over. I don't want to cut it all the way up to the top of where it intersects, because I want a little bit left over just to make sure all of our chipboard is covered. So I'm going to miter that up, and we're going to do this on all the sides, all the corners. You can also miter straight across and just leave that little 1/8 of an inch off the edge. or you can cut the squares out and then miter. Like I said, there's a few different ways to do it. And it's quick and easy to make a cover this way with the lay flat method. It's an amazing technique. And it, as you can see, it goes by pretty fast. That's why I decided this time I'm just going to go ahead and do it while I'm on camera, rather than linking it. And then it's right here for you. I don't do that every time, but this time I just decided to do it. All right, get this one trimmed. And like I said, just make sure that you leave just a little bit out from that corner, about 1/8 of an inch. If you're not familiar with this method of wrapping albums, it's just a good idea. You will tuck that in. And when you're using black, you can also do the little trick where you, if you can see any of the chipboard, where you add black Sharpie to fix your mistakes. But I just prefer to do it right the first time if I can. So I am missing my score tape here. I'm not quite sure where it has disappeared to. Well, my goodness. This is a quinky dink. What did I do with my score tape? Alrighty. All right, so I found my score tape. I forgot I rearranged my desk and I put it somewhere else. So we're going to take score tape, or you can use glue. I'm just going to run score tape around the inside portion here. Around the edges of the chipboard. And they don't have to be perfectly straight or anything. Your paper's going to cover it. So no worries there. Just go ahead and get it all the way around. And we're going to burnish all that score tape out so that it sticks good. And then I'm going to take my glue and I'm going to run it right up along the side of the chipboard and on the flap itself, that 1 inch there. And I'm going to peel all of this score tape off on this side. And I'm just going to pull this up and fold it over. And I like to start burnishing from the middle out, just to get a good stick on there. Okay, I'm going to flip. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. I do the 2 long sides first, and then I do my 2 short sides. Okay. Once that's got a good stick, you want to go around with a fingernail or a bone folder and just tuck in those edges where we left that little extra. Now, if you're someone who cut the squares out and did it in that method, then you probably can skip this step. Go ahead and do the same thing. And I will do this panel, and then I will show you what I do with my spine, and I will go ahead and do the other cover off camera, so you don't have to watch this repeated. And then we'll put it together. Okay, I got that one. I've got everything tucked. Add my glue. And what the adding the glue does just along that chipboard right there in the score is it just helps the paper flex a little better and gets it right up against that edge, so to speak, if that makes sense. All right, so now I'm going to take my piece, I'm going to grab my bone folder on its side, and I'm going to go around and just make sure everything is nice and flat and neat on all the sides. And there you have a nice panel. All right, so for the spine, I'm going to grab that, and I'm going to do a little bit more burnishing here, or scoring along the edge with my bone folder here, just a little bit up against that inside chipboard. And then the way that I do mine, some people cut this completely out. I am just going to miter a little off the edge of all 4 sides, okay? So you'll have like wings. This is the technique that works best for me. Some people cut all of this out because they don't like that bulky paper right there. And that makes sense to me. I just choose to do it this way. So that is all that you need to do with the spine. You can flip it over before we put it on and run your bone folder on the outside of the spine all the way up and down. This gives you a nice guide for where to put your score tape. So I'm going to go ahead and put the score tape on here so I can show you. Make sure I'm in frame. I'm going to grab my 1/2 inch score tape, and I'm going to put some about, I like to put mine almost 1/4 inch. Not quite 1/4. I'm going to add tape as well, so it doesn't have to be perfect, but I do like to have it away so that when we move the spine, you don't see any adhesive hiding under there. So just do that on both sides. Run 2 strips of 1/2 inch tape. You can also do this with glue and just glue if that's your preference. I do both just for added strength. I'm going to burnish that out. All right, I am going to put the other port together. All right, so now we have all of our pieces. I'm going to grab my scoreboard, and I like to turn my scoreboard sideways for this. Have our 3 pieces here, and I'm going to pull this up so make sure I'm in frame. There's one cover, we have our spine piece, and the other cover. So what you want to do is start here. We're going to go ahead and peel off one side of our score tape on our spine piece on one of the flaps. And then I'm just going to add a little glue to that as well, just to make sure I get a nice stick. You want to set this down and then bring your cover in and just make sure it's lining up, not overlapping or anything like that. And mine is. And then flip it over and just burnish that glue and score tape down nicely. And we're going to do the exact same thing on the other side. Add glue. And put the other side on. Flip that over and get that all nice and burnished. All right, I've got them all upside down, but that's okay. The chipboard's going the right way. That's all that matters. So then you're going to pull in your 5 by 7 7/8 piece. And basically what this is it's just going to cover our middle here and add some stability. So I am going to add glue to this. Instead of my hand. And then I like to add a little bit of glue right along that chipboard and on it as well. This should fit exactly the same as your pieces that were your wings for your flaps, and be just a little bit shorter on the top and the bottom. It should fit nicely. And once you have that on, then you can get rid of any excess glue. Make sure that it's laying down, and you will probably have to add glue to these corners. I never get enough to really get those corners burnished down. So I always end up adding a little glue to mine. All right, so now what you want to do, really get that burnish down on there. Okay, and then I'm going to take a bone folder and find where my divot is to my spine. And then I'm just going to slowly open the book, the cover, as I'm doing this. Slowly open it. Don't do it too abruptly or you will crack your paper. Keep in mind this paper is on here fairly tight. And once you have that, you'll see you have your divot there. And do the same thing on the other side. So find where your spine is and then just gently start moving the book open. And if you have trouble with your book opening, you probably put your spine too close to the cover. And I have done that many times. It is not hard to do, but you want to make sure that this is going to open and close. So just keep working it until you feel like you can actually turn this like so and not crack the paper, which mine is perfect this time. I can't say that every time I make an album. Once this is opened and closed several times, it will start to be easier for it to lay flat like this. You just have to really work that spine piece. Okay, so there's our book. I'm going to set this aside and we will get started on some signatures. This is going to be a fun little album. It's going to have 4 pocket page signatures with some different flips and flaps. And we will get started with signature 1. Grab my scoreboard back in here. And again, if you're taking notes on the measurements, you might want to grab that. So for signature 1, of course, we will have our base pocket page, which will be these 2 pieces. So you're going to have, for this one, we're going to have a 9 3/4 by 7 3/4 and a 6 by 8 3/4. Take the 9 3/4 by 7 3/4 and place it in your scoreboard with the 9 3/4 at the top. Score this at 1/2 inch, 3/4 inch, and 6 1/4. Okay, and set that aside. That 6 1/4, that extra flap that you have there is going to fold to the back. This is going to be our side A. And the next piece you're going to have is the 6 by 8 3/4. Put that in at 8 3/4, score it 1/2. Flip and score it 1/2 on the other side. And then we want to do a 1/2 all the way down. Okay? So you're scoring at 1/2 inch on 3 sides. We're going to cut out these little squares. You will not need these. And then you just want to miter these as well. So I'm just going to take this and miter this, miter this. So this is what you will have, okay? Now what you want to do is put the pocket page together. I'm going to set my scoreboard aside and make sure that you have your base page with this folded to the back. Okay, and I'm going to burnish that down a little bit better. And then we're going to burnish this is our pocket top, okay? So we want to make sure we get all of these folded nice and neatly, the ones we just scored and burnished. And I'm going to fold both ways because I'm going to put the writing, I think, to the inside. Yes. I write on all my pages so that you can see the measurements clearly when I record, and I need to remember to put it to the inside. All right, so now we have our pocket page with our tabs, and this you're going to want to dry fit. We want the opening to the outside, so this is going to go right up against our little give space score line down here. So just want to make sure that when we dry fit this, that it's actually fitting. And mine is, so I'm going to go ahead and add glue to my 1/2 inch gussets here. Okay. And like I said, you want to line this up. So we did on the page, the 1/2 inch and then the 3/4 inch. Right at the edge of that 3/4 is where you want this to go. Not over it, but right on it. And try to line up top to bottom as well. And mine looks like it's a little big. Not quite sure why that is happening, but it's all right. All right. Well, my goodness. I don't know what I'm doing here, but all right. Let's go ahead and just burnish that down. And then I'm not going to burnish my sides yet because I'm going to put some Scotch tape in here. Just to make sure that whatever I slide in the pockets doesn't get stuck. So this is just a little trick. I'm going to put this on my bottom my bottom gusset. And I think this is just a teensy bit long, but that's all right. I'll go ahead and add glue to these side gussets again. And then we can close those as well. rid of that glue that's getting all over my desk, making a mess. Oh no, it's not too long. I just had it lined up funny. I'm gonna go ahead and burnish it from the other side as well, just to make sure I'm getting a good stick. And that gives you your pocket page on this side. Now, if you wanted to, you could fold this over and just make this a pocket, or you can make it a pocket on the other side. But this is how mine goes. All right, so we're still on side A. The next thing you're gonna need for side A, and we'll be doing 2 of these because side A of signature 1 and side B of signature 4 mirror each other. So we're going to cut a piece that is 12 by 7. You're gonna put that in your scoreboard with the 12 at the top. We're gonna score it 4.5, and we're gonna score it 9, okay? Then you're gonna have another piece that is 6.5 by 7, and we want to score this at 2, all right? Then what you're going to do is take your piece that we just scored. We're going to flip it the other way so that you're at the 7. And we're going to score this first line. Try to make sure I'm in frame here. 5 inches, go all the way down to that first score line. Okay, then go over to 6 inches, and you can score it from up here if you want to, and go down to the second line. So we're going to have a 5-inch piece, a 6-inch piece, and then the 7-inch pieces. So now what you want to do, I am going to use a cutter for this because I really want these lines to be nice and crisp. So I'm going to grab a cutter really quick. And where I cut this, I want this one at 5. So I want to make sure I'm at 5 before I do any kind of cutting. That seems kind of crooked. I don't want crooked. And I just want to cut down to where that ends. Okay. And then I'm going to cut the top. Again, we're at 4.5. And I'm going to cut out that top area down to that space. So you can see that I have a 5-inch by 4.5. This one is going to be a 6-inch by 4.5. So I'm going to go ahead and put this one in at 6. And then we will cut out that piece just to that last score line. This one I'm going to go ahead and do with scissors and just trim that off. Easy peasy stuff. All right. Some of these little pieces left over. Now, grab the other piece that you cut and scored it to. And we are going to put these together exactly with 1/2-inch tape. I'm actually going to need my scoreboard. I don't know why I put that away. So what you want to do here is you have your piece that looks like this that we just cut. Right along here, you want to put 1/2-inch score tape because we need to measure 1/2 inch exactly. So you want to get this right up against the edge of this paper, of this piece. It's better if it goes a little over than if it goes under because you want it lined up, like I said, as perfectly as possible, because this is going to give us, when we put the add-on, it's going to give us that last 4.5-inch piece. So go ahead and take that score tape off of there. And mine lined up pretty well. I'm going to put this in on my scoreboard at a mark. Mine is at 8. The beginning of this is at 8. Bring in your piece that has the, actually I'm going to go down to 6 so that you can see better. So we'll know that our tape is right at that 1/2 inch. Hold your tape down, your paper down. This right here is 2 inches. So we want this line that we made, the 2-inch line, to line up with that. If you're on the 6, you want to be on the 10.5. So line up your glue and your score, or your tape and your score line to go right to that 10.5 all the way down. And now you will have a 4.5 inch. Now this is going to get covered with paper, so that little bit of score tape that you can see is not going to make a difference. All right, so for this, you want to, I'm trying to remember how to fold. We want to fold this first one down. So get that all nice and neat. Then the next one is going to fold back like so. And then the last one will fold over like so. So you'll have this fun little pull out when you're done. Now I'm noticing that the very top of this, because I did the scoring, cutting, I need to cut some of this, trim some of this off. And that worked. Okay. So now you have to decide if you want these square or round. I will probably leave mine square. Not quite sure yet. Let me see here. So this will go on the page. Bring in your book again. This is going to go right in the middle of our page when we decorate. And this will have a magnetic piece, or magnet that closes it. So this will open both ways. This will be put down as a pocket. But when I get to my decorating portion, I will assemble this with you. So just go ahead and clip this and maybe set it aside so we can move on to side B. Which is our little flip around. So this is, all this is going to be is a pull open, and I might put something when I decorate on the inside of the pocket as well. The signature 2, side A, also mirrors this. So you'll have 2 that open up for more pictures, okay? So go ahead and set signature 1 off to the side. Putting my little sticky notes back on so I know what I have here. And we're going to move on to signature 2. I'm going to make sure I have all of my pieces. They're all falling apart here, and I'm not quite sure what happened. All right. So this is signature 2. You're going to, again, have a 9 3/4 by 7 3/4, and then a 6 by 7 3/4. Put your 6 by 7 3/4 in, and we're going to score this at half. Wait. No, this is the top. This is the one you want to score. 9 3/4 by 7 3/4. Put it in at the 9 3/4. We're going to score at half, 3/4, and 6 1/4. Now this one will fold in because this is mirrored to signature A, side 2. Signature 1, side B. So we'll have this flap here, okay? Now we're going to flip this over and set it aside. Our pocket page, top, you need a 6 by 7 3/4, and we are going to score this at, did I do this right? Yes. On the 6, you want to score at half. Okay. And then we're going to score at half on both sides. So like we were doing a pocket, although this is not a pocket. And I just want to make sure that I get 7 3/4 before I do anything else. Okay. So we just want to go ahead and miter those, just like we did the first pocket page. Okay. And I am going to burnish my pockets, all of my gussets. All right, now we're going to bring in side B. Remember, side A flaps open. So you want to turn this. This time our score line that we need to butt this up to will be on this side, okay? To burnish this a little better so it lays flat for me. So our pocket is going to adhere to this side and open to this side. So go ahead and add glue to those 3 1/2-inch gussets. And I don't know why I added it to the sides, because I'm going to go in and put tape on there. And you want this right up against our 1/4-inch line. All right, I'm going to pop that side up. And go ahead and burnish this down. And add my Scotch tape. And the Scotch tape trick, I mean, it is definitely optional. I just like that it smooths it out a little bit better for sliding things in the pocket. I find it helpful. Add a little more glue to, I got glue on my scoreboard. I just cleaned my scoreboard recently. All right. Now we're gonna put this down. And we can burnish those sides out. All right. So this will be our side A. And open, and you'll also have that pocket there, which is not laying down. And then our side B, we will work on next. All right, so for side B,
I'm not quite sure how to help you with that.
we are going to have a double flap. This is the wrong pieces of paper. Need to find my papers. I think it's this here, yes. We're going to have 2 flaps, and then we will be adding a 4" by 4", which is, this part is 4 1/4 by 4 1/4, with a belly band that will magnet to close it. So you need 2 pieces that are 4 1/2 by 7 3/4. Okay, we're going to score these on the 7 3/4 at 1/2 inch. Both of these. Okay, and we're going to cover these with paper. So if you wrote on yours, feel free to do that like I do. They will get covered. We're going to miter those as well. All right, so these flaps, we will have 1 on the top, like so. And then we're going to do the other one here. This one will go on the bottom. I'm not going to do this yet because, well, we'll put the flaps in, but I'm not going to do all of this because we have to decorate. And then we will have a 4x4 that's decorated that will go somewhere around here. I just am not quite sure which way I'm going to do that just yet. I might actually put these right dead center in the middle. So we have a top and a bottom that go together this way. And then we will have our belly band come out from the side, and it'll land right in the middle of those. Yeah, that's what we're going to do. Okay, so take your top flap and go ahead and add glue. Now that does not look straight to me. Let me take a look at what I got going on here. Yeah, it is. It just looked wonky. Add glue to your 1/2 inch flap here. And these are for Okay, 4.5. Is that what I said? 4.5. And the page is 5.5. So you know to put this, if you're going to do this in the middle, right at the 1/2 inch mark on your scoreboard. So if I put this right at the top, I'm right at 1/2 inch and 5 inches. And that should give me my 1/2 inch of space on both sides, and it does. So I'm going to go ahead and burnish that. And then we'll do the bottom one the same way. I'm just going to flip this upside down so I can find my 1/2 inch easy. Add glue to that 1/2 inch. And this time I'm on the 3, so I'm going to go to the 3.5 and the 8. And that should put me right in the middle. You can adjust as needed. You want to make sure these line up when you lay them down. All right, there we go. Okay. So these will open and close like so. We'll put this one on the top. We have our, yes, so this is our top one. This little guy, you just want to take a 2 by 5.5, and we're going to score this at 1/2 inch on the 5.5 and miter it, make like a tab. And that is going to come out from the side. So we want to take this, and it might be, it's not too long, it's fine. Add the 1/2 inch, or the glue to the 1/2 inch. And I want this to be right around the middle of my page, which is 5.5. So just kind of eyeball where the middle is. And you want this to go right up against, again, our line. You could do it from this side too, if you prefer. I'm going to do mine from this side, and I'm just going to go right about there. Seems close to the middle to me. And aligned. And that will come out from the side. You have your page that goes in, your page that goes on top, and then, oh goodness, that is not very straight. Let's fix that. My score line was a little off. Then this will come in and be glued to this. So this is a little long. You might want to take this down to a 5 1/4. I'm just going to snip mine off a little bit. Easy peasy. Because this is going to go, there's a magnet that's going to sandwich between this and another piece of paper. And this will line up so that it magnets to the page. Okay? I'm not going to add that yet until I do my decorating. So that is signature 2. And I am going to write on this for myself that this is my A, so I don't mess up when I go to put this together. Is that? Oh, I've got it upside down. That's why. Okay, signature 1, signature 2. All right. So for signature 3, get that one out. Again, we're going to make the pocket page base first. Just pull all of this out. So again, you need 6 1/4 by 7 3/4 and 6 by 8 3/4. Okay. Put your 6 1/4 in at 6 1/4, score it at 1/2, and score it at 3/4. Set that aside. Then the next part, you're going to put your one that is 8 3/4 in. We're going to score it at 1/2 on 3 sides. So 1/2, flip it, score it at 1/2, flip it again, and score it at 1/2. And then I always like to eyeball and make sure that I'm at 7 3/4 so it doesn't overlap my page when I go to glue it on. Again, we're going to miter these bottom at the cross section, and then we can go in and fold and burnish those all down. And I'm going to burnish those a little better. There is our pocket page, and I am going to dry fit this really quick because to me it was looking a little long, but it's fine. Make sure it's not going over that way. All right. Can always trim a little off the edge. Sometimes our scoreboards and our cutters just don't line up when it gets to the end result. And some adjustments sometimes have to be made. I don't know why I keep putting glue on the sides. I don't want to do that yet. So I'm going to put this right in there. Get that right next to that 1/4 inch score line once again. And flip it open. Burnish that down, and I'm going to add some tape. Now I can add glue to the sides. And it's looking like it was just a wee bit over. I'm not quite sure. I mean, it lines up with my paper. I'm not quite sure why that looks that way, but it's not over by any means. Just give it a better burnish. Maybe that is my problem. Yep, I'm a little over where I need to be. So this one I'm going to have to trim a little, and that's easy to do. Somehow I got a little long, so I'm just going to pull up my good cutter here, and I want this line, my 3/4, to be right at that 5.5. And then I'm going to trim out whatever was going on there. Now I've got a perfectly straight piece. I don't know what that was. That was interesting. But that's how you fix it. Little tiny squiggly of paper. All right, so now we have our pocket page done. So for side A, which is this side here, we're going to do side double stacked pockets. So the pockets will go this way. So you need a 3" by 8 3/4 and a 2.5 by 8 3/4. Put these in your scoreboard both ways. So first we'll do the 8 3/4. I'm going to score it half, flip, score it half lengthwise, and flip again and score it half. Okay, do that same thing with the 2.5 by 8 3/4. So we're going to score it half, flip, you can score it 2 if it's easier, and no, I did that wrong. I'm sorry. You don't need that second score line. Goodness. All right, so you're just going to score this one on the ends. So 1/2 inch on either end. And then you want to just go in and put a little tick so that you have that little square there. You don't need to score all the way down because we're just going to cut those little squares out. Okay, and I will get mine cut out. And then just miter what's there. So I'm going to miter here, and I'm going to miter here, right to that corner. Okay, so this is what you'll have. And I'm going to go ahead and miter the tops as well. This one that has all, you're going to do the same thing. We're just going to cut those squares out and miter. the square out. Miter, miter, and then miter the tops. And I'm going to go ahead and adhere these because I can. Normally, well, I'm not going to adhere them fully. I'm going to show you where they go on the page. But I will be matting this entire book, all of the pages, with white 65-pound smooth. So I would put that down first, which would be a 5 3/8, I believe. No, 5 1/4. No, 5 3/8 by 7 5/8 is what you're going to have for your white mat. So make sure you're on this side with your pocket open here. The larger piece, the 3" by 8 3/4, go ahead and burnish all of your. I'm going to put this on with temporary tape for now because I want to show you where these go. But I'm not going to use glue just yet because I want to get my decorating or my mat on, and I have not cut those yet. So let me just burnish all this out so I can show you at least where the pockets are going to go and how they're going to go. And I have some removable adhesive here. Okay, so the first one, I'm going to put this right up against the edge of the pocket page. So right by that 1/4 inch give space again. Okay, that will be our first pocket. The smaller one, we're just going to fold and burnish those sides down. Okay, and again, I'm going to add some. This temporary tape I have is not holding as well as even temporary tape should. So I'm going to stick a paper clip up here because it keeps wanting to lift up on me. All right. Once you get those, again, I'm going to do mine with temporary. Not that it's working very well. And this pocket will slide into this pocket. That was the whole point of the little tick mark we made at 1/2 inch, because it tells you right where to put this. So now we have the big pocket, this pocket, and this pocket. And when I do my decorating, the photo mat piece that goes in here will be a bifold, and it will flip over and be used to close this with some jute string, I believe is what I'm going to do. Okay, so that is Signature 3A. For the B side, we are going to have a belly band, a larger belly band down the middle, and I'm going to put a bifold on this as well. So it'll be a piece that opens and closes with a string over the top when we do the decorating. So this is going to be a 2.5 by 8 3/4 piece. And for this, you just need to score it at both ends. So 1/2 inch on this side and 1/2 inch on this side. Okay? And go ahead and miter those. And again, I will use temporary because I want to get my mats down. But I will show you how this is going to go on, just like a typical belly band. It's just going to go right down the middle of my page. Right now I'm just kind of eyeballing because we're not gluing it yet. And so that will go right on the page like so. Okay? Clip that on, and that is our Signature 3. One to go. And then we also have the cover inside pocket system that will be waterfalls. And I will be doing that next, or after I do this signature. So, Signature 4, once again, you'll make your pocket page. But this one is going to have our flap like the other ones had. Or did I? Did I want that to be? Oh no, this is our other piece, sorry. Ignore me. So 6 by 8 3/4, 6 1/4 by 7 3/4. This is our pocket page base. 6 1/4, we're gonna score at half, and that 3/4. Set that aside. 6 by 8 3/4, we're gonna score at the 6 on, this one looks a little over, so I'm actually gonna score this. No, let's just see here. 5 1/2. We'll just go ahead and score this at half. And then half on both ends. So put it back in at the 8 3/4. We're going to score at half. And score at half. And again, we're going to get rid of those edges. Just do a little mitering here. And we can fold and burnish those down. That one is not mitered quite enough. Sometimes if you don't miter enough, it will leave the little nubby. I guess it's kind of a weird word, but it just leaves a little nubby of paper sticking out, and you just have to go back in and trim it a little. Do a little extra mitering on it. All right. Bring this in. Again, we want this up this way. I want our opening this way. So I'm going to add glue to the back, the long portion of the gussets. I'm not going to put it on the sides this time because I still got to put my tape in. And I keep doing that and making a mess. This needs to go right up against that 1/4 inch line. So if you have your page in your scoreboard, this is going to go in at that 3/4. Okay. And that one lined up nicely. Okay. I'm just going to burnish that out. Flip it open. And add my Scotch tape. And then I can add glue to my sides. And you can also notch these pockets if you want a little notch in them. I do that sometimes. I did not with this one when I designed it, but it is definitely an option. Burnish that really, really well, as you want your pocket page to be nice and straight. And that one is. All right, so this is our side A. And if it feels like it's a little open, it's fine. It will lay down once you get paper and stuff on it. It will not be that way. It will close nicely. All right. So this is going to be a double stacked pocket with a flap that comes over. These pockets are across the bottom. So you will have 2 pieces for that. One that is 2 that are 3 by 6 1/2. Okay. So we're going to put these in our scoreboard with the 6 1/2 across the top. And we're going to score at half. Flip. So the 3 is there. Score at half. Flip. And score at half. Okay. For that one. The second one, you just want to score at half. Turn it all the way around and score at half. Okay, this is where I went wrong with the other one. Then go ahead and put it back in your scoreboard with the 3. Go to the 1/2 inch and just make a score down to that score line. And I'm going to do the same thing, but I'm going to flip it over. And I have the same thing. So I have 2 little squares here that I can cut out. So I'm going to miter these and cut. And that's what you will have. And if you don't miter these just enough, I forewarn you, they will not go into the pocket very easily. For this one, you're going to miter completely all the way across, just like a normal gusseted pocket, and at the tops as well. And you can do the tape trick on this too, which I probably will do. So this is the bottom of our page. I'm going to go ahead and get this all burnished, this pocket. Again, I'm not going to stick mine down all the way because I still need to put my mats and my decorating. So this is our first pocket. I'm just going to add some removable adhesive. And I want this to go all the way down to the bottom of the page and off to the sides as well. That will go on the bottom. And then our next one, we're just going to do just like we did the large ones, or the vertical ones. I'm going to go ahead and slip this into this pocket up to that 1/2 inch. See, this one is not mitered. Oh no, it's perfect. It will go in right here. And so you'll have a double pocket here. And then I don't think that I cut the flap for this yet. But there should be a flap that's going to come down and close over this with a magnet. So that piece will end up being 5 by... probably 5 by 7.5, so that we have, let me see if I did cut it and I just don't realize it's here. Let's see, that one's a 5.5 by 7. All right, let's just go ahead and cut one really quick. So 5 by 7.5. All right, we can do this. Almost done with these signatures. So I've got 7.5. But I need a 1/2 inch. So I'm going to go to 8. And then I'm going to do 5. Okay, so 5 by 8. Oh, goodness, I'm throwing things today. Put that in your scoreboard with the 8 across the top and score at 1/2. Or you can score at 7.5, whichever you choose to do. I'm going to do the 1/2. And then this does not go all the way across the top of my page, so I'm going to go ahead and miter those sides. And fold and burnish that. And this I can glue because I want to put the white on top of this actually. So I'm going to go ahead and glue this down with you. We'll add the magnets when we decorate. So we have a 5.5 inch page and a 5 inch piece here. So just put this at the where your edge of your page, minus that 1/4 and 1/2, and put this at a 1/4 inch and at 6 1/4, and you should be right in the middle of your page. And mine is. So, whoops, mine slid. I want to burnish that. Make sure it doesn't slide again. And that way I can put my white paper, not enough glue there, down right on top of this. And it'll cover that tab. Sometimes I forget to put my mats down, and then I have to cover it with a strip of paper, which is a tip. If you have put this down and you didn't put it down and then you put your mat down, you can always just grab a little strip of the whatever color you're using to mat and put it on top, because you're going to put decorative paper on top, so it does not cause an issue usually. So this will tuck in here like so. This will flip closed and have a magnet. And I can see that I am not on there good. Okay. Now we're going to clip that closed. This is my signature 4, side A. I'm going to flip this over to this side, and we are going to do the same thing that we did earlier on the signature 1 side A. So this is a 12 by 7. Put it in your scoreboard at 12, and we are going to score at 4.5 and at 9. Okay, then we're going to flip it so that the 7 is on the top. We're going to score at 5 all the way down to that first line only, that first score line. Then at 6 all the way down to that second line. So 5 down to this line, 6 down to the second one. And then I will cut these out. Then take your 6.5 by 7 add-on, put it in at the 6.5 and score it at 2. Okay. Then we're going to do the same thing we did in the first one. We are going to put 1/2 inch score tape on here, adhere this so you have 4.5 inches here, and cut these pieces out. So you will not need, I don't need to do this again on camera, but you don't need this, and you don't need these two. So you want to cut all of this area out. Okay? And now you'll have the 5, the 6, and the 7s. 2 7s at the end. All right. So for this portion of my tutorial is going to be all about the cover. Let's start with the pockets that are going to go, I'm not quite sure what I have there. The pockets that are going to go on the front inside. So what you will need for that is going to be kind of an envelope style pocket. And I've already done mine here, but I'm going to pull this back out. So what you have is a 10 by 4 3/4. You want to put this in your scoreboard with the 10 across the top. And we are going to score this at 1/2 and at 1. Turn it around and do the same thing. We're going to score it 1/2 and at 1. And then you want to turn it all the way and score this right at 4 1/4. All the way down, okay? Next, what you want to do is we're going to cut out these bottom 2 corners. We don't need these. And I will put this closer to the camera here in just a second. We're just going to clip out those corners, okay? And they don't have to be perfectly straight. We're going to do some mitering too. So you just want to try to cut on the score lines. And then what you want to do is miter those. So we're going to miter here. And we're also going to miter this second portion here. So you will have something that looks like so. I'm going to miter this one, which I cut this one a little far, so I'm going to miter it from this direction. And then again, I'm going to miter that bottom. And then you want to miter the top one as well. Just the outside 1/2 inch, okay? So this is what you will have. And then we are going to fold on our score lines. Fold the first 1/2 inch in and the second 1/2 inch out on both sides. And then, excuse me, the bottom one, we will just score normal across, okay? And we want that underneath, I do believe. Let me think here. Do I want that one under? Yes, because I'm going to actually tape that down. Okay, so then we will have a second piece that's going to slip into this one. This piece will be 8 by 4. Okay, and put this across the 4 on your scoreboard. And we are going to score that at 1/2 inch. Okay. And I feel like I'm missing a pocket here. There should be, oh no, this is the top. I'm losing it today. It's all good. So then I'm just gonna grab a corner rounder. I have the We Are Memory Keepers with the 3, and I am going to use the largest round, which is 10 millimeter. And I want to clip those outer edges, okay? And I am also going, I don't think I feel the need to miter these. I don't. Okay. So what we're going to do is bring in our book. And this is the front cover. I've cut a piece of the white 65-pound smooth at 5 7/8. Excuse me, by 7 7/8. And I am simply going to put this down as a mat. Most of it will be covered. However, I want to cover all that chipboard and make a nice even surface. So I'm going to go ahead and mat this. I'm just going to put that right down on our book in the front cover area, leaving a little bit of that black showing all the way around. And once I have that on there nice and straight, which I do not, there we go. Still not too straight. What is happening? I think I might have cut this paper off a little, because that should be there. And that's not working. So let me see what I have done here. I think maybe that paper's a little big. Let's try this one. I should have dry fit. Yeah, this one fits a little bit better. All right. Like I said, it should be 5 7/8 by 7 7/8, but I think I might have cut that one a little off, and I will fix it and we'll put it on the other cover. But this one will fit better, so we're just gonna use this one. And this one's a little shorter, but that's all right. At least my lines are lining up. All right, I'm gonna smooth out my glue here. And get rid of any of the excess. And then we are gonna bring our pocket flap system in. You want the pocket to the right. And I feel like I should have mitered this more or something. I'm not quite sure what it is about this I'm not liking. But let's go ahead and put glue on the bottom. I'm going to dry fit this really quick, actually, just so I don't have any problems. And that is good. Okay. So go ahead and add glue just to that bottom 1/2 inch gusset that goes at the 8-inch. And I'm going to pull these out. And you want to butt this right up to where your spine meets. And then all the way to the top and all the way to the bottom. Making sure that our book still opens well. And once I have that, then I can burnish. And I'm going to open that up and burnish it in there as well. And then, like I said, most of this white will not show, but it does give you a nice smooth surface. I am going to do the little tape trick. Just adding a little Scotch tape in here, just so things slide in and out easier. And then we can fold up our halves. Like I said, fold in and then over. And you're going to add glue to that back 1/2 inch on both sides. And then you can pull that one down and in. All right. And this may require a little clipping for the glue to dry. I like to go in between where I have the little gussets. And I feel like I did that backwards, but I guess I didn't. I don't know why it's sticking up so far. The other piece that we cut is our flap, okay? So go ahead and fold your score line from that we did, the 1/2 inch score line. And I'm going to burnish this out. Turn it the other way as well. Burnish that out. Now this is going to have a magnet that will close this. And we're going to keep that clipped. Well, maybe not. Let's try a smaller clip and then I can keep it clipped. That's fine. Okay. So bring in your other, and we're just going to dry fit this as well, just to make sure that I didn't boo-boo, and I didn't. It's fine. I'm going to go ahead and add glue to that 1/2 inch. And then I'm just going to pick up my book because I want to line this up not only with the pocket, but with my book, top and bottom, side to side. There we go. Go ahead and burnish that out. And I think I will go ahead and clip this one as well, just to keep everything nice and smooth and straight. All right, so that is that side. I'm going to set this aside, let it dry, and we will make our waterfall. For the waterfall, we are going to need a 12-inch piece by 5, a 11 by 5, a 10 by 5, and a 5 by 5. Okay? This is going to make our waterfall. So, for each one of these pieces, put them with the long side across the top. So you have the 12 by 5. We're going to score this at 4.5. Turn it around, and we're going to score it at 4.5. Bring in the 11-inch piece and do the same thing. We're going to score at 4.5. Turn and score at 4.5. And then, of course, our 10-inch piece, 4.5 and 4.5. And the 5 by 5-inch piece, you're just going to score at 1/2 across the top, okay? So, next what we're going to do is put our scoreboard down so it is sideways. And I just want to make sure I'm in the frame completely here for you. And we're going to take the largest piece and set it on our scoreboard, okay? Take the next piece, which was our 11-inch, and we're going to fold over at one of those score lines, making sure that everything lines up nicely before we burnish. Then we can burnish. And we want to add glue just to that area between the two score lines. Okay. Bring this in, make sure that your larger piece is on your scoreboard nice and straight. You should see that the first score line is at 5.5 on the side here, or 4.5 if you're going this direction. We're going to butt this one right up to the 5 and make sure that it all lines up before doing any burnishing at all. We want to make sure. I'm going to grab my spacer bars here, and I'm going to grab this 1/2 inch bar and just make sure that I'm at 1/2 of an inch, and I am, so I can go ahead and burnish that. And burnish that glue out. Okay. Next, we're going to grab the next piece, which is the 9-inch piece. 12, 10-inch piece. I apologize. I keep calling it 9. Do the same thing. We're going to fold on our score line, making sure that everything is in line. Mine is a little off. That kind of happens sometimes with scoring. And then I want to add glue just to that space in the back. And I'm going to set that down at the 5.5 mark. And I'm going to stick my 1/2 inch just to make sure that we have a 1/2 inch all the way across. If you don't get these lined up neatly, it makes for kind of a wonky waterfall, and I don't want a wonky waterfall. So finally, our last piece is our 5.5, or excuse me, 5 by 5. Just go ahead and fold that score line. This one is actually going to go in at the top. So right under that score line is where you want to put this extra piece. I am going to add glue to my 1/2 inch. And then I want this all the way up as if I were doing a traditional waterfall to that score line, okay? Make sure it's lining up with the rest of my papers, and then I can burnish. Getting a little extra glue everywhere here. Then you can go in, fold over the other sides, making sure that they all line up before you burnish. So kind of pull the paper in and look at it before you do your burnishing. And I have one more here. And there is our waterfall with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 pages. Now, mine, I like to flip them all the way over just because it's usually more even. And go ahead and burnish that last one. And you will see what I mean here in just a minute. The other side, for me, always ends up being a little more than 1/2 inch on one of these. This one is not. So that is our waterfall. And I still need to cut this piece of paper down and just get some of this stuff out of the way that I don't need. And I need to recut this 5 7/8 piece because it is not proper. It's not fitting. So this needs to be exactly, well, I don't have 5 7/8 per se on this board. Take a sliver off there. I'll go to 6 7/8, or excuse me, 7 7/8. It's right there. Yeah, it was just a little crooked and a little long. So now we can put this on the other side, which will be under our waterfall. So we have all this side here. This is our cover. This is our back. You just dry fit this for a second here. I feel like that is too small. So I'm going to do this one more time. I apologize. It should be 5 7/8 by 6 7, or 7 7/8, but for some reason I am struggling to cut a piece of paper that size, and I don't know why that is. So we will try a different cutter. I'm going to go to 5 7/8. And then we're going to go to 7 7/8. And I don't know why that other one was doing that, but everything is fixable, right? Let's see here. Pull this back in. Yes, that is a much better fit. All right, so I'm going to put this mat down first of the white 65-pound smooth. me see, the top of this is a little wonky. I don't want wonky, even though this really doesn't show. I just don't like it all crooked, so I'm just trying to line it up a little better. All right, let's smooth out that glue. And clean off the excess, which I do have some here. All right, then I will put patterned paper down eventually on this as well. All right, so for the back pocket, we just need a piece that is 7 by 3. And we're going to score this at half, turn, go ahead and score it at 2.5, or you can score it half, and then score it half on the other end as well. And then we're just going to cut these little squares out off both sides and do our mitering. And I like to miter my tops as well. So this is what you will have, okay? This little pocket is just going to go. Okay, so let's get this book finished up. We're going to work on the signatures. Now, most of these I have decorated for the most part off camera. There are a few pieces that we need to add magnets to, and I will go through those as well as this one, which has a little string. So this is signature 1A, and I have put all of my papers on at 1/8 of an inch shorter. So our papers, our pages, I'm sorry, are 5.5 from our little 1/2 inch give space there, or 1/4 inch give space. So they're 5.5 by 7 3/4. So my white mat is 5 3/8 by 7 5/8, and then the green mat is 5 1/4 by 7 1/2. Okay, and that'll be the same anywhere that we put a mat down on the page. For signature 1A, we just have this fun little pullout, lots of white photo mats in here, and these will be used, are more embellished when I do my final decorating with stickers. I do have the sticker sheet and quite a bit of the frames and tags and ephemera, so I will be using those throughout, and you will see that in my walkthrough. So these are all 1/8 of an inch matted, smaller, so my white papers as well as the decorative paper are all 1/8 of an inch. Same thing with our pocket. And then I have this moss green, the jute. I think I cut a piece actually a little shorter. Yeah, that's my extra that I want underneath here. And how I'm going to do this, because we're going to adhere this bottom one as a pocket that will open on either side, I want to attach this. So you have your pullout that's decorated. I'm going to flip this over. And what I want to do is I'm just going to add some tape to this. I do think that that will work, we hope. Hopefully I can get this all nice and tidy. And you want to get it as close to the middle as you possibly can, because we want it to close over our front flap. But we don't want anything blocking us from sliding something in those pockets. Now it looks like I got just a little bit too much tape. I'm just going to move it over. Beauty of the tape, I guess. There we go. I still have too much, but that's all right. I'm going to just clip it off. Grab some scissors here. And be sure not to cut the string. I just want to cut the, I'm going to pull my string out of the way so I can cut this off. There we go. All right. So then I am just going to burnish this tape down to the paper really, really well. And you will see what I'm talking about once I flip this over. I still have a little bit too much tape there. I'm going to remove a little bit of this tape so I don't have any overhang. And this is optional. You could use a magnet to close this. I am doing it this way. You just want to make sure that that string really is up against that tape when you burnish it down before we glue this, because you want stuff to just slide right past that tape. So burnish it really well, especially on the edges. Okay? And then that's just going to come around at the top of our little pocket there, and it will tie over what's ever in there, and that's going to hold all this closed. Now, you don't have to put anything if you don't want, but I am choosing to put that. So how we're going to adhere this, so we're just going to take our glitter glue, or whatever adhesive you're using. We're going to run a bead of glue across the top, like so, and we're going to run a bead across the bottom. Just a couple lines of it. Okay, and I like to also take a measurement between my glue lines, so I know I have 6 inches there. So whatever I slide in and out, I'm probably going to make about 5 3/4, just to make sure that I have plenty of room. And then you just want to center this on the page. Top and bottom, side to side, and I just want to make sure that I am even. All right, now I'm going to flip all the way to that back one. And I'm going to go ahead and burnish where I glued. A little bit of glue problems here. All right. So now we have that down, and you'll see this will just tie over just as an added little placeholder to keep this little photo mat accordion at bay, so to speak, so that it doesn't flop open. I'll make this just a little shorter, and I might cut those off just a little bit. They're a little long. And that will be side A. Easy peasy stuff, and it's done. Side B I've already done, so I added my paper here. The white mat's 1/8 of an inch, a little strip of the paper, and then I rounded the corners of our flaps here. So your mat's, again, 1/8 of an inch. So the green mat on here is 3 3/8, and it is 7 5/8. The patterned paper is 3 1/4 by 7 1/2. And the white paper will be the same on here as we did on the other page. So 5 3/8 by 7 5/8. I have a little strip of leftover, and then again we'll have the other 3 3/8 by 7 5/8 white mat. Okay, so that is signature 1, and as you can see, our signature 2, I have decorated it to match, so it's exactly the same. I did not add any kind of a closure to these. They're pretty heavy, and if you think once you have pictures on here, they're going to be even heavier, so I did not add anything. So let's put side A back, or signature 1 aside, and we have some work to do on signature 2, side B. Now, we had our little flap here, and I did cut mine down a little more than what it was, and then I added paper to these flaps here, but I have not put my paper down here because we need to put a magnet. So what we're going to do is put our white mat down first, which again, 5 3/8 by 7 5/8. I'm just going to place that down. And once that one is down, that is just our mat. That all evened out nicely. Then this is our belly band that's going to flip over. So we want to put our magnet here. And this is a fairly thicker system, so I think I'm going to use a large set of basic grays. So I have my plus and minus put together. And I am just going to peel the backing off the minus. And I want to put it right on the little belly band here, okay? And then I can peel the backing, bleh, I can't talk, off of the plus. And I want to just flip that closed so I know where that magnet's going to stay, okay? All right, so now I have this piece of paper, the Christmas trees, at 5 1/4 by 7 1/2. And this is going to go on top of that magnet. Okay. We are just going to set that down on there. And I'm kind of wishing I would have used a colored paper as a mat here, but it's all right. You really can't see much of that white, but there is really pretty colors for the coordinating solids for this set. So I would highly suggest switching that out. I don't know why I didn't in the first place. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and pull this forward. And what I did for this, as soon as I figure out where I put it, goodness, where did it go? I lost it. Oh, here it is. So I have one of the 3x4 cut aparts, and underneath of it is red paper, 3 1/8 by 4 1/8, white paper, 3 1/4 by 4 1/4, and black paper, 3 3/8 by 4 3/8. Okay, and I set this on here where I wanted it. And I had drawn a little white line. This way I know right where that's going to land. So I'm just going to put glue on here from where I drew that white line and stay within it, because we're just gluing our closure piece to this. We don't want too much excess glue. And then usually what I will do, I'm going to go ahead and close the flaps and drop that down so I can make sure that I'm lining this up. This is where my little white line was. I can see I got it a little off, but that's all right. I just want to make sure that it's the same on the across the bottom here, and it's not crooked anywhere before I burnish. Looks good. All right, so then we can flip this open, burnish out that glue, and then I just have a piece of white that I cut to 3 1/4 by 4 1/4. You could do patterned on this side as well if you like, or one of the colors. This is just meant to be another little spot for a picture, and it also conveniently covers that magnet. And that's all you have to do. And burnish that really well around that magnet because you want it to stay. I'm just going to get this burnished really well. All right, so now this little thing flips over and holds all of our flaps shut. So that is our side B, signature 2, with our magnet added. And I'm going to go ahead and just lay that one down, and we will move to signature 3. Signature 3 has some stacked pockets. So I really wanted to show how to put those on camera. Just pulling out a few things, and then side B is going to have a magnet. So definitely want to show you that. All right, so what I have here, first of all, we're going to start by putting this little strip of white here. I didn't cover the whole page. So what I have is 2 1/4 by 7 5/8. Yes. And I am going to put that down first. We just want to snug that up right in there as if we were covering the whole page. So you want to see about an 1/8, or excuse me, about a 1/16 of an inch of that black underneath. Okay, and then we're going to take our pocket that we made, the first one, and I have temporary tape all over the flaps of this that I'm going to try to remove a little bit of it so it doesn't get in my way. Just want to add glue to our gussets, and you could do the tape trick here. I don't usually do them for the really shallow pockets like this, but you can. Okay, this is our first pocket, so this needs to go all the way over to that edge, all the way to the top, and all the way to the bottom of the page. And you want to get it lined up as good as you can, and then burnish. Okay, and then the second pocket, we're just adding glue to our side gussets. Once I get all this temporary stuff off, so just to the sides, that's all you should have. And then we're just going to slide this on top of the gussets of that bottom pocket, line it up, and make sure we're good, and then burnish. Okay, and then I just cut a little strip of this green that's going to slip in there as soon as I get this to lay down. It's not, I might have to clip this one. All right, we'll start with the bottom. And that bottom pocket has a, it's actually this one. This goes to this one. The bottom pocket, the white, is 2 3/8 by 7 5/8. And I don't really need to glue these on camera, but since we were assembling the pockets and I have to finish up the other side, I might as well. Right? Right. So let's put that down on the pocket. Line everything up and burnish. And this one is the same. We're just going to add. You can do this one whatever length you want. You can cover the whole inside, or you can simply just make sure that it goes underneath the bottom pocket. So we just want to slide this piece in. And you should be able to pretty easily line this up with the paper below down here and get it pretty close to perfectly in line with the others. All right. Then I have the red here, if I remember correctly. I'm trying to remind myself. That's going to go there. I have these Christmas balls that are going to go here. And then I had the green plaid. So this lines up nicely and matches well. I like to coordinate when my signatures are open. So like these two. When this is open like this, you get a decent they look well together. Is what I'm trying to say without saying it. All right, I will glue those off camera so I don't bore you. We're going to flip this over. Now this one has a belly band and it also has a magnet system. So the first piece is this line paper. Again, it's going to be 5 3/8 by 7 5/8. And I probably could have just put this one down, this portion, off camera, but I didn't, so it's all right. We will get it done here. Okay. Goodness, that seems short to me, but I guess it is not. It's because I have a belly band going on here, so it looks a little shorter, I think. All right, just gonna burnish all the way around the outside of that, make sure my glue is laying down, and then we can put this piece on, which is the flip side of the cut aparts I'm using. It's kind of a plaid, and this is 1/8 of an inch shorter both ways. So this is 5 1/4 by 7 1/2. Even that out a little better because it's looking a little off. Oh, it's fine. Okay. This edge is all burnished, nice. And then we have our belly band, which I decorated with, so I didn't have so much bulk. I put 2 pieces here. And I'm actually going to go ahead and glue this portion of it down. And what I want to do is add my magnet to the middle of this. I want one right in the middle. And that's going to be a small magnet, so I'm just going to go ahead and stick that down with a little bit of tape. I have to find my tape. Just grab a little piece of score tape here because this one doesn't have, these are the tonic magnets, and they don't have the sticky that you can peel off, so we'll just do it this way. Okay, so I'm going to try to add glue to that again because I probably should have done that first, and now my glue is drying on my piece, and I am going to put this right down on my belly band. Or so try. All right, that's better. And burnish that all around that magnet. These are not glued down, so I need to go ahead and do that. I just use scraps. Goodness, I just made a mess. For these, I didn't cut these out. They fit. So I decided to use them. And now I have glue everywhere. Add a little more to this one. And again, like everything else, these are 1/8 of an inch. Both ways, cut shorter, 1/8 of an inch than the red paper underneath. sure that this is laying flat. This one does not look flat to me. Oof, that one is got to come off of there. That is not straight. Oof. Well, I boo-booed there. I don't know. I think that paper is off. I'm going to cut another chunk of this. These are 2 1/4. Imagine that, by 2 1/4. So I'm going to cut another one because I messed that one up. But I'm just going to leave this little boo-boo in here. Why not? 2 1/4 by 2 1/4. And it doesn't have to be exact. The only reason I use these little squares is because I had a bunch of leftovers. So we're going to try this a little better, because that one was not going on there straight and it wasn't looking too pretty. But this will show you that you don't have to scrap it if you make the same mistake I just did. And we won't see that. It will not show. All right, so now we have that on, and we have our magnet here. I have a little bifold made with the black artisan that is a 3 1/4 by 4 1/4, and then I have white pieces for the inside that are 3 1/8 by 4 1/8. The red for the cover is 3 1/8 by 4 1/8, and then of course our 3 by 4. Now I like the rounded look on all of my things like this. On this one, I am just doing the outside right edges all rounded. Okay, so it'll look like a little book. So first I'm going to add my red paper. And I'll worry about the white ones off camera. Actually, we have to put one of the white ones on so that we can use them, put the magnet on. So I will be putting at least one of them. Actually, I probably won't. I'm probably going to put that under the tree. I'm not sure yet, actually. I just don't know. All right, there's that. Go ahead and put that on. All right. And my cut apart looks like it might have cut down a little less than 3 by 4, and that's okay too. It doesn't have to be exact. It's nice, but it doesn't have to be. So we're going to open this up. And what I want to do now is I want to put the belly band on first onto the page. So let's do that. Just add glue to that top and bottom tab. And center that as good as you can in the middle of the page. Pretty close to the middle anyways. It doesn't have to be exact. And burnish. Okay, I need to make sure that I'm lining up here. Set this up against here, and it should be, well, let's see, from the green here I have 1.5, from the green here I do not. So this is not very even. Just about 1, and yeah, right there is good. Okay, I wanted those lined up. Okay, remember our magnet is here. Now if you wanted the magnet to be under here, you could just do that as well, but I'm choosing to put it on this way. So now we're going to put our card on, and how I'm going to do that is I'm just going to add glue just to the end of here, top of here, and then we'll fill this in. Okay. And we're going to want to center this. And I'm going to use the lines in this paper underneath to help me with that. Okay. Now that that is on, I don't know that our glue went down quite as far as I was originally going to put it. Now what I want to do is figure out where the other half of my magnet needs to be. So I'm going to drop it. It's going to grab there. I'm going to put a little dab of glue on it. Like I said, these are different, so I want to close that over. Now I can see where my magnet needs to go here. Put it on there and add some score tape. Make sure it's still going to close, and it does. So I definitely put it in the right spot. Peel off the backing of that score tape and go ahead and round 2 corners of one of these white photo mats. And put that on, just like so. All right, and then we'll put the other one. I will do that off camera, but I have the other photo mat for this side. Go ahead and show you what it'll look like. I'm just going to trim, corner trim those outsides, and it'll go right here. And that will act as a closure. It'll also help hold whatever you put in the belly band down. Okay, so that is signature 3. And the last one is signature 4. And this one also has a magnet. And I've already decorated most of this, but the inside we have our stacked pockets again. So I wanted to make sure that I did that with you. And I'm going to go ahead with my 5 3/8 by 7 5/8 piece of the white 65-pound smooth matting cardstock, which you can now get in black. If you haven't seen that, oof, I can't wait to get my hands on some of that. Because sometimes you just want a good matting paper. You don't want to use up your artisan for matting. And it's great because it's, you know, lighter weight. And it does really, really well with the matting. It's just like this white, only black. All right, so now I have my white paper down. We will put our stacked pockets on. So the bottom one we have here, just go ahead and add them. I already showed you how to make these. And so hopefully everything, all your pieces were kept together until decorating time. Okay. This one I just want to pick up my book and look at it. I want to make sure that everything moves and that it's all nicely lined up before I burnish and I'm not in frame. So that's our bottom pocket. And again, we'll have a second one. Put glue on those 2 1/2 inch and slide that in our pocket right over the tabs underneath, and it should line right up with your other pocket here. And it does. I'm just going to burnish that. All right. Now, next I have white paper that's going to go on this pocket. I will do this off camera. Again, 1/8 of an inch both ways. And then this one just goes down far enough to go under this pocket. Then I have, let's see what I had going on here. This green here. And then I have a strip of red and this fun. I used this for the cover and I wanted to use it again. So, nope, that's not the right one. We want the other side because I won't use it again. So we'll have this little holly sprigs. That's what's going to go there. I could change that. I'm not sure if I like that. So for this one, I'm actually not going to do a magnet. I was going to, but I don't think it needs it because this is just a flip up. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, we better put a magnet in there, which means I'm going to need to put a strip of something up there, and that's fine. So we're going to go ahead and glue this red down. And this red is my mat for this one. And then I'm just going to grab a magnet and put it right around here. It just has to hold this. So I need to make sure, yeah, it needs to go closer to the top middle there, if that makes sense. Hopefully it does. Just because our flap is not as tall, so. All right, and then I'm just going to put a touch of glue just so I can see where the magnet goes. Close this. I see where the magnet goes. I'm going to flip this over. And now we have our magnet there. And I'm going to add a strip of paper to cover it. One of the decorative papers is what I will do. And I will show you what I mean here in just a second. I'm going to get this magnet down on the page. So I'll go through my scraps, see what I have over here. And I do have more of that darker green that I used, or I can do just a red strip. I'm probably just going to grab a strip of this really quick to cover the top portion of that. So I'm going to do this at 4 7/8, and we'll do a 2-incher. So 4 7/8, and then we're going to take it to 2 inches. Just going to go right across our page like so. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and peel off this backing on the tape. And then I'm going to add glue to this little guy here. And we will set him right there. I just want to measure, make sure that I'm pretty straight, and I am. All right. Now that will close nicely right down on top. Seems a little poofy to me, but that's okay. Not sure why. It works. Okay, so then we'll just add our stickers or whatnot on that page. I do have this cut out, but I don't know for sure if I'm going to use it at this point. I'm going to slide it in the pocket, and we will move to the last one, which is the B side. And this is a mirror image of Signature 1 side A. So we have our accordion that we made. I already gave you measurements for that. And we are just going to add paper, green piece of paper, to that bottom portion. Actually, there's supposed to be white under this. And I didn't cut white for it. I need to cut white. I'm not quite sure how that happened, so I need a 5 3/8 by 7 5/8 piece of the white. I don't know how I missed that. Easy to fix. 5 3/8. And then we're gonna go 7 5/8. All right. And make sure I cut this correctly then, because no, this should be 5 1/4 by 7 1/2. Not quite sure what went wrong there. Somehow, I was just going to put green down, I think, originally, or on the other one too, and I did the white matte. So they match. We'll do it on this one too. All right, so the white will go down first. I could have got that up a little higher, I think. Yeah, it's not stuck yet, so that's a little low. I'm being particular probably, but we are our own worst critics for sure. All right. Now, that's probably not enough glue left. It's probably dried on me. Well, it seems to stick. All right, then we have our green paper. Get that lined up and burnished. All right. And this, just like the first one, and I think I failed to mention, so on these little accordions, I went in and I used the 10 millimeter rounder on this corner and this corner. Okay, open it up, this corner, this corner, this corner. You have to do this one together. And then this corner and this corner. So you have square here, but the rest is round, okay? So I'm gonna add my piece of jute again with the tape. And this time I am going to try not to put as much tape on there. Last time I got a little too much. So we're going to just stick it to the tape first. And then I can stick it to this. It doesn't have to go... Yes, it has to go all the way over now that I think about it. Yeah, I need to add the tape differently. Hold on just a second for me. I need to add a piece because it does need to go all the way to the edge, or you won't be able to slide anything in there. You could also put paper over this if you want. That would be probably not a bad idea. You could just put a little strip. Let me show you what I mean. you could just take a little strip of the matting paper like this, which happens to be the right size, and glue it over that. It's a little short, but that's okay. I'm just showing you this as an example. And then when you slide paper in, it's going to slide even easier. I probably should have done that on the first one now that I think about it, but if you've already done it, it will still work because I've used this method before. All right, so then we're going to do our glue down here and down here. So just the top and bottom. And then you just want to grab it and center it nicely on your page. And I'm going to grab my ruler just to make sure I'm lining up. And it looks like I'm pretty off there. Let's see, what do I have here? Yep, it's pretty close. All right. And we're going to flip all the way to that back page and do the burnishing. Oof, that was a lot of glue in there. Just burnish down both sides. And we have our tie. I got it almost in the same spot as the last one. Don't ask me how I did that because I don't know. It's a little higher, but that's all right. Let's get that tied. And we're going to shorten this just a bit. I don't need a bow quite that large. And then I'm going to trim this one just a bit. All right. So there is our signature 4. Now I'm going to flip back to the A side. The A side is also going to have another fun little element that I like, that I've recently discovered that I like. I did this on my Autumn Greetings album. So what we're going to do is create a pocket that slides all the way through. We're just going to take, this will actually end up being the cover. Just have to make sure I'm doing this with the right size. Yes, this is one of the 4x4s. So I'm going to adhere glue, and I just have a piece of black cut, a black artisan cut up to go underneath of it as a mat. So we're just going to mat this on, and then let me do this right off the edge of the camera, and I will give you the measurements in just a second. Because I think I did adjust the 4x4 a bit. So I'm going to make sure that we have the right measurements. Okay, I got excess glue. Okay, so the cut apart is 3 7/8 by 3 by 4, and then the black is 4 1/8 by 4. Okay, and of course we want our mistletoe this way. And what I'm going to do is I'm just simply going to add glue to the sides. We're going to turn this into a sliding tuck. And we just want to kind of center that. Give yourself a little bit of room on the bottom, not directly in the middle of the page. And I'm going to line up the sides with my ruler. And I'm good there. And with burnish. And what that's going to do is it's going to give you a place to put a tag or something that you can slide all the way through. Okay? First, what I want to do is this back. I've already applied my pocket. And what I've cut out here for decorating is I have a piece of white. I think we actually already put this on. I don't need to tell you that one. So this, you can see I have this bottom portion I didn't cut off, but it's fine because it's going to go down inside the pocket. So you need to make this 5 3/4. Mine measures a little over 7 3/4, but you could go to 7 7/8 if you want to go all the way down. As long as you go at least past that notch in the pocket, which would be about 6.5, 6 3/4, you'll be fine. So that will go down inside, and I'm not going to glue on camera unless I have to because it's just a lot. So for the pocket, so our pocket is 6 by 2.5. So I have a piece of the white at 5 7/8 by 2 3/8, and then this pattern, I chose the plaids. This is going to be 5 3/4 by 2 1/4. Okay. And this one I am going to go ahead and put down because we are going to add a magnet system for our for our waterfall. And I want to do that with you really quick. So I have a scrap of Artisan left over here that is 2 inches wide, and it's obviously 12 inches long, which we don't need. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put this an inch onto the pocket. So I'm going to score this at, I'm going to grab my small scoreboard from over here because it takes up less room on my desk. So I'm going to put this in my scoreboard, and I'm going to go ahead and just score that at 1. And then I can figure out, miter this as well, ever so slightly. And we'll set that aside. So I want to fold that and burnish. So I know that I want this to go on the pocket like so, and it's going to be a magnet here and a magnet underneath the decorative paper underneath to hold down our waterfall. So I know that I need this to go up to about the middle of the page, a little bit more. So I'm going to estimate that I need this to go up. Let's just put the ruler in there. That probably would help, huh? This is going to be on our pocket right at the edge, and our waterfall will be here. So I'm going to say 6 inches. So that would make this piece that I didn't cut yet 7. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my cutter here, slide it into frame so that you can see that. And I am going to cut this to 6 because we already have the inch. And that will give us a 6 by 2. And what we're going to do is we are going to glue this on to the pocket first. So just put some glue on that 1 inch tab. And I did an inch just because a 1/2 inch can get it's a little less sturdy. I like at least an inch when I'm doing it on top of a pocket. If I had done this and put it under the pocket, I probably would have done a 1/2 inch. But because I'm doing it on the pocket, under the decorative paper, I want it to be at an inch. And I just want to make sure that's pretty close to the middle, and it is. Let's just get all that excess glue out of there and burnish that tab down. You won't even see this. All right, so next what we're going to do is go ahead and put our paper down. So I'm going to go with the white. I will glue this pocket on. Like I said, I'm not going to glue all the decorative papers down on camera just because that does make for a super long video and can get kind of boring. So rather than gluing it all down on camera, I will glue part of it down and make sure that you have all of the measurements. So make sure you have, if you're not doing this along with me, make sure that you have a piece of paper and a pencil to jot down the measurements as I give them. Right now we're working on the cover, finishing it up. We have a pocket in the front to finish, and a couple magnet systems here. And then we can put, I'll put the decorative paper. I've already shown you the decorative papers, but I will put them on. All right, so you can see my notch got a little off on that, but that's all right. Nobody's perfect, right? So what you want to do, I am going to use, I thought I had one already. Yes, I do. I'm going to use a large magnet. And where's the other half? Well, I did have two halves, and somehow, oh, I see them. They attach themselves to my magnet, to my paper clips. All right. So you have two magnets. I'm using the large basic grays. I have my plus and my minus. Okay. I want to place the plus or the minus, it really doesn't matter, on the end of our belly band here. And I'm actually, let me think here. I'm going to be putting one of the 4x4 cards on top of this, so it'll be backed with white paper. Yeah, that's right. Okay. So we are going to put this right. Do I want this on the belly band or do I want it on? Yeah, we're going to put it on the belly band. So go about an inch down, maybe a little less, just so you know you have enough to cover. And then I'm just going to I'm going to move this paper really quick because we're going to cover it anyways. I'm going to bring my waterfall up in here, up to the top of this page. And I want to make sure everything is lined up and that this is going to go. Yes. Okay. So then what you want to do is just simply pull the backing off of that other magnet that's attached to the minus, which is our plus. And we're just going to simply push up. And that is going to leave your magnet where you need it. Then you can add this decorative paper, which I am going to go ahead and do this one, just so that I can add the magnets. And I like to add a little tiny bit of glue onto the tip of the magnet, just so that I don't know, I just feel like it holds it better. So we're going to slide this down in here all the way to where we get that white showing at the top a little bit. I want to make sure it lines up. There we go. And really burnish around that magnet. And then I'm going to grab a flatter bone folder so that I can make sure that everything is getting burnished inside as well. Burnish around that magnet really well so I get that glue I put on there onto the paper. And then I just have this little strip left over of the red plaid just for that added touch. I'm going to put this across the top of the page. Just another little pop of red. And I like to put it down just a little bit from the top. And I want to make sure with my ruler that I am spaced correctly. Double-sided sticky tape on there, the temporary stuff. I'm just going to go over with glue. So for your waterfall, you just want to put glue in that section in the back where it folds between the two score lines. And you can be pretty generous with the glue on this part. And we want to make sure this lines up in the middle of the page and goes to the top of the page. So you're going to want to pick your book up. Pull this stuff out of my way before this dries. Yes, mine is right up there at the top. You don't want it to overlap, but you definitely want it to line up with the book. Okay. So that is that. And I'm going to flip my waterfall open here so that I can just re-burnish that on each half-inch section. It's going to burnish that glue in there very, very well. And originally I was going to have a smaller pocket here that these could just sit in, or have like a a journaling card, so to speak, or something that would slip in the pocket and hold it closed. But unfortunately, I made my pocket really thick and I made my waterfall really long. So you'd have to have a really small piece to be able to do that. And I feel like this bottom one is a little more than 1/2 inch. Nope, it isn't. Just looks that way. Optical illusion. So then as you can see, that's going to hold our waterfall. All right. So next what you want to do, I've also, just so you know, I've cut out white. I rounded all the corners at the 10mm on my We Are Memory Keepers corner rounder trio. And I just took those off on each edge, not the top, just the bottoms. And then I cut out, we have 7 waterfalls, and I cut 7 pieces of the white smooth at 4 3/4 by 4 1/4. And these will just simply go right on these pages. And you can do both sides if you want. It will get a little bulky and you may need to add a second magnet if you do that, or do a different closure. This is optional, but this is something that I will be adding to mine. But the main part that you need is this part. So I'm going to cut this 4x4 out a little bit smaller. I'm not quite sure what it is now, so let's just take a look here. So right now it's not quite 4. Sometimes these aren't exact. I have a little bit of red on this side showing, and I don't want that. So I'm at 3 7/8 by 3 7/8, it looks like. Now, 3 7/8 by 3 7/8 is what I have here, all right? What I want to do is take a piece of black artisan, or you can use one of the colors. Let's see, should I do the red? Maybe the red. Yeah, I have a little bit of this red left over. So I have a smaller piece here though. I have scraps everywhere, so I want to make sure I use them up. We're going to use that red. I'm going to cut it to 4 inches by 4 inches. Okay. And then I am going to grab a piece of the white, and I'm going to cut it at 4 inches by 4 inches. All right. And then what we're going to do is we're going to round these corners as well. I'm going to use the 10mm again, and I'm just going to round all these corners just so it looks nice with the pieces we already have. So round the corners of all 3 pieces. All right. So first we want to put our green on top of our red. I'm going to glue that on. And I'm going to try to slide this up so I'm in frame a little bit better for you. And there won't be a lot of the red showing, just enough to give you that little pop of color. All right, then we need to figure out where on the belly band to put this first, okay? Set your white piece aside. We want this to kind of go up on top of this, and of course you will have the white on the bottom there, so it'll pan out nicely. And I'm going to decorate the belly band as well. So I'm going to say I want it right about here. So what I want to do now, once I have this where I want it, I'm going to grab a white pencil, and I am just going to mark the bottom portion of this. So I know just to put glue on this portion. So above the white line, I'm going to add glue to just the belly band. Try not to get it on anything else. Just that belly band, okay? And I usually will go down to the white line and then slip my piece down over the top of it so I don't have to erase it. Little trick there. So again, I'm going to line this up. I want to make sure I have the same amount of space on both sides. And I do. I'm going to make sure that it's even. Yes, I have a 1/2 inch on both sides. And then I just want to flip this open to burnish it because I don't want to get glue, like I just did, all over everything else. Okay? So burnish that really, really well onto that piece. And I know I'm out of frame, so I'm going to turn my book sideways so you can see this portion. The other piece that you cut, the white, we are going to put to the back of this. And this can have a photo added to it as well. It's another little fun spot for a photo. And like I said, we're just going to sandwich that so that you see the green all the way around. And it makes a nice little photo mat, okay? Make sure you burnish it really well where that magnet is. All right, so now this is the look you will have. Super cute, and it holds our waterfall down. So I also want to add paper to this. So you're going to want a 1 7/8 by 3 and, whoops, wrong way. 1 7/8 by 3 5/8 piece of your white. And then I want to use the same paper that I used here. So I'm going to go to my scrap bin here. And I am going to cut one at 1 1/4. Actually, you know what? I think we'll do the plaid just because I think it'll look better. So this is 1 7/8, so you want 1 3/4, which I have a little bit too. Let me see here. I don't know if this is 1 3/4 or not. It is exactly 1 3/4. What do you know? By, what did we do? 3 5/8. So we want to do 3 3/4. Okay. Easy peasy stuff. And that will go right on top of the white. And that is too long. Let's try this again. 3 5/8. Oh, 3 1/2. Sorry, not 3 3/4, 3 1/2. Very easy to snip a tiny little bit off. So I am just going to do that. Just a 1/4 inch too big. Not a big waste of paper. And I am going to go ahead and adhere these. So now that is down. Now I will probably cover the back side as well, but I'm not going to put the white on. I'm just probably going to do it with this. I mean, I could do the white. Let me think here. Let me see if I have. Let's go ahead and do that just because I want even more stability. So what I'm going to do is take 1 7/8 again by this time. Yeah, we'll do 3 5/8. So white paper, that is 1 7/8. By 3 5/8. That will go on first. And then our red is going to be 1 3/4, which I already have, by 3 3/4. I mean 3 1/2. I almost did it again. All right, so moving over to the front portion, we did our flap, but I was going to do a more gusseted pocket and it wasn't working out for me. So we're just going to do this envelope pocket as a regular pocket and with a normal gusset. So what I have here for this bottom portion is going to be 9 inches and it is 4 1/4 inches tall. I already have my magnets attached, so score at 1/2 inch on both ends. And I'm actually going to have to grab my big scoreboard. I just realized this does not go down far enough for 8 inches. So, grab that really quick. And we want to score this at 3 3/4. Okay. And we are going to do some mitering. Just want to cut these little squares out. Or you can score at an angle across, whichever way is your preference. And then I'm going to go ahead and miter these as well. And I like to miter my tops as well. And I will fold and burnish these. And then, to get these all nice and burnished, going to make sure that this fits nicely, and it does. And I'm going to notch this with my envelope punch board. So this is 8 inches, so I'm going to go to 4 and notch that out. And I'm going to do my tape trick on this as well. So I'm just going to put glue on that bottom 1/2 inch gusset first. Okay. And then we will fit that in here, top to bottom, right by the score line, but not in it. You definitely want to leave your score line there, or where your spine is, I should say. I mean, it is a score line, technically, but all right. I'm going to burnish that back one out, and then I'm going to add some Scotch tape to this. So everything slides in my pocket nice and neatly. And then we can add glue to the 1/2 inch sides. All right, and then just fold that over. And give that a good burnish. All right. All right, so now we're going to move to this front flap. And what we have here is a couple pieces for decorating. I've added a little latch. So what this is a 2 inch by 3 inch scrap of artisan in the black. And I just rounded those corners on one side at the 10 millimeter. You can do it any way you like. And we're going to just glue this down first. So you want this partially glued. We don't want to glue it all the way, probably about 1 inch or so. Let's see what that does when we put it on there. It's about 1.5 inches, I think is what I did there. And I want this about the middle of my pocket. I'll flip that open and just make sure, yeah, we're good. Okay. And I'm going to put that down, and I'm going to burnish that nice and neatly. And this is just going to make a fun little tab for our pocket cover for, it's like an envelope, I guess you could say. Then we have white that is 3 3/8 by 7 7/8 that will go down on top of that, and I'll go ahead and glue that one. And that's going to cover this up. And you could make that a a little shorter if you want. I chose to make it a little longer. I didn't really need that long, but it's fine. Pull that in a little bit. All right, so I'm going to burnish that all down, and we're covering up that tab that we added, okay? So go ahead and flip it open for now. On the inside pocket portion that we just did, this one, this piece of white is 3 5/8 by 7 7/8, and then our red plaid is 3 1/2 by 7 3/4. Okay, and I'm losing my magnets here. We're going to put the white down first. And I did notch these with my envelope punch board. You can choose to leave them flat or notch them. Either way works. And I'm going to put my white paper down, and then I will place my magnet, because the less bulk between the magnet and the paper, the better stick that you will get with your magnet. All right, once you get that all burnished, make sure you don't have any glue seepage, then you can add your magnets. So the magnet, the first one, now I'm using the basic grays. So I have one side that I am going to use sticky tape and put down on that little tab, okay, that we made. And then I will go ahead and place the other one. And I'm going to close this and let that stick to the page so that my other magnet sticks, okay? And then I'm going to peel this off, and we will add our red paper piece. And that will go right on top of our white, leaving that pop of white showing. Just like so. And that was notched as well. Just going to burnish that out really well over that magnet. All right. And then I have a piece of white cut for the inside of our envelope. The top portion at 3 3/8 by 7 7/8. And I'm going to just go ahead and finish this inside up gluing on camera. Like I said, I don't want to glue everything down on camera because it makes for like super long video. But I will glue most of this cover part that has anything that has magnets that need to be added or anything like that. I will glue on camera for you so that you see where they all go. And that is probably almost partially out of frame, but and we will cover that piece later on with white paper as well. Right now, what I want to do is show you what I'm going to do here. So we have our decorative paper piece. This is 3 1/4 by 7 3/4, and it will go down here. Okay. And then what you want to do is just add a little bit of white paper to this. So what I need is a scrap. I want this to be 1 1/4 by 1 7/8. So I need a really small piece of white paper. Let me see if I have 1 1/4 here, and I think I have exactly that. No, it's a little over. So we're going to cut this down to 1 1/4. The smaller the paper, the harder it can be to cut sometimes. So I want to make sure. So I have 1 1/4. And then I have 1 7/8, not 2 7/8. Correct? Let me double check. Yes. 1 7/8. All right. And let's see if that's going to work. Yes. Okay. And then I'm going to round those outside corners so everything matches. Just like so. And I'll put that down. Kind of a fun little closure. rather than the traditional ribbon or just magnet by itself. This is kind of a fun little way to add a little something. Okay, so we had 1 1/4 by 1 7/8 on that. I'm going to take a piece of the plaid and I am going to cut it to 1 3/4 wide. And then I want this to be 1 1/8, which again, the smaller the paper, the harder it is to get it perfectly straight, but I think I did pretty good there. And I'm using the plaid so it just kind of melds with our pocket. Again, I'm going to round those outside corners and add my paper. You could do the same pattern paper that you're using on the flap, or you can do what I'm doing, and I cut that kind of skinny, but that's all right. That out. Okay. And then I'm going to cover this as well with paper. And I'm going to give this a good burnish. Don't want any glue seeping out anywhere. And there you have this fun pocket. And you could put pictures inside the pocket flap if you wanted to. Super cute. I will put the cover on. I already gave you the measurements for that. So let me just show it to you one more time. Make sure everybody has it down and written down. So our covers are both the gold paper, the Craft Perfect mirrored cardstock, 5 7/8 by 7 7/8, followed by a white matte, 5 3/4 by 7 3/4, followed by your decorative paper at 5 1/2 by 7 1/2, and then I have a strip that is 2 inches by 5 1/2, a strip that is 1 inch by 5 1/2, and a strip that is about 5/8 by 1 1/2, or 5 1/2. Okay, that was what you'll do for both. Now on mine, I did red and then I did green. One is the cover, one is the back. For the spine piece, you have the gold paper at 1 7/8 by 7 7/8, white matte 1 3/4 by 7 3/4. I did a green matte 1 5/8 by 7 5/8, and then my plaid paper is 1 1/2 by 7 1/2. Okay, and those will go on. And then I have my piece that goes on the front, which is one of the cut aparts that is cut to, it's a little over 3 7/8, but not, that's 3 7/8 by 3 7/8. And then there's gold under that, that is 4 by 4, green under that, that is 4 1/8 by 4 1/8. And then I wrapped a piece of chipboard at 4 1/4 by 4 1/4 in the white. So I just wrapped it like you would a lay flat cover. And so that paper was, we have 4 1/4 by 4 1/4, so it was 6 1/4 by 6 1/4. Okay, that's our cover, and I will put that on later. So next we just have our signatures. I will also tell you that I'm going to be adding a little shaker element, but I will have that and explain it in my walkthrough. So make sure you look at that if you haven't already seen the walkthrough of the finished album. I'm going to close this up and set it aside so that I can grab the signatures and start decorating them. All right, so I have all of my signatures done. I still have a little bit of decorating to do. And hopefully at the beginning of the tutorial, you did see the excerpt I slipped in on this being cut down to a 1/4 inch. So mine with the 2 inch spine is going to have 1/4 inch space in the front and 1/4 in the back. So I've already put this first signature in, and I just lined that up right next to this little well where the spine is, where the spine meets the cover. And we're going to go on with the next page. I have score tape on this, on my little 1/2 inch hinge here, and I'm going to add glue to that just for added strength. You can use all glue if you choose to. And I just want to line this one up to this one. I don't want to overlap. and I don't want it to slip underneath of it. I want it to all line up, and I want to make sure my pages line up. So they do. And then, whoops, it slid a little. We don't want that. That is one of the reasons that I put glue with the score tape, is because I want to be able to move this a little bit. I want it to adhere really well, which is where the score tape comes in, but I also need it to be able to move. Okay? And as you can see, I wrote myself little lines. They're going to be covered up anyways. So we will do the next one. Again, I'm just going to add glue on top of that score tape for a little extra. Line it up with this one. You don't want to slide it under. You just want it to go right up against, and make sure that it's lining up before you stick it all the way down. And mine is on. And then burnish that glue out. And I didn't put any tape on this one, so let's do that. I need tape on this one too. Grab my score tape over here. And I do 1/4 inch score tape, just because I don't want it to overlap at all. And sometimes the 1/2 inch and a 1/2 inch score tape don't equal when you're cutting it. So I like to use the combo of the score tape and the glue. So I'm going to burnish that score tape out a little bit. And then add my glue. And this is our last signature. This one will just go right inside, just like the last couple. And I don't want it to slide under that last one. I just want it to go up against it. Make sure that you're lining everything up. And whoops, that is just not cooperating with me today. I don't know if it's the book or me, but it either wants to slide under or, and I don't want that because then it won't lay straight. There we go. And it's a little bit more than a 1/4 inch in the back. I'm not quite sure how that works out, but. And then I cut strips of paper that will go in between here. And I kind of did them coordinating. As you can see, I put this one here. So this one, I do believe, should be, yes, it's this one. So I have this strip here, and this one is a 1/2 inch. So this is a 3/8 of an inch strip by 7 7/8 is what I believe I did on these. I will double check it here for you. Once I get this one in, kind of looking at the one next to it here and lining it up. And I got so much glue on there that it wants to slide out of there. It's not doing what it's supposed to. Let's put it that way. And yeah, I'm pretty sure these are 7 7/8. Yes. Okay, and then this one is the plaid to match this. Again, 3/8 of an inch by 7 7/8. I could do this one too because I have that, but I'm going to do the plaid. And I just kind of eyeball these and then look at where the ones on the page before lined up. You can see them on the bottom, which will help you line them up. And then this guy, I don't know. This is for this one, and I have to cut it smaller because I did the little whoopsie. So I will cut one for this, 3/8 of an inch by 7 7/8, and I will probably just use, I'm not sure which one, but I will cut them. So then I want to show you how I'm going to do my cover and the ribbon that goes on the cover. So I have my pieces cut here. And I need to figure out what I did with my cover piece. Okay, it's green. So we want the red on the front and the green one on the back, the matted green on the back. So I've cut this ribbon. This is such pretty ribbon too. This is a newer one in the shop, and I'm going to put it to the gold side. I put a little bit of sticky down. I'm going to lay my book this way. And I am just going to stick that down onto that score tape. This not only helps adhere it better, but it also helps you line it up. I probably have way more on here than I need, but that's okay. Better more than not enough, right? And I just like to put the score tape there because I've measured my middles of my cover and spine, or cover and back. And that way, when I put this on, I know that the ribbon's going to meet when I go to close it. And as I've said in other tutorials, when I do my covers, I've got something weird on here. I like to assemble them away from the book itself. So rather than putting a piece of paper down and then continuing to layer the papers, when I'm doing multiple mats, I like to have them all together in one unit like this. It makes it easier to adhere them to the book. You don't have to slide a bunch of stuff around. You've already got it all nice and lined up, and it just makes for an easier application. This is the word I would use, even though I put mine on there askew, and that's probably not going to work. I need this to be, there we go. That is better. No, it's not. Goodness. I don't know what the struggle is. All right. And there we go. All right. So now what I want to do is lay this completely flat and get this burnished. I've got a little corner here that doesn't want to lay down, which I don't like. Now I can go around and get this all nice and burnished. All right, and then as I showed before, I think I showed it before, at least in my sneak peek, I have this piece that's going to go on the front, up a little ways, and then I've used one of the little Sizzix stars. Hopefully you grabbed some of these in the barn sale because they were half off, and they're still available, but it was a wonderful, wonderful price. So this is going to sit on here like so, okay? And then I will put the back on the exact same way and tie it shut. And I will be finishing up my decorating of the album and putting some stickers and different pieces of ephemera and such on it. And I will do a walkthrough of that. So I hope that you guys enjoy the tutorial for this and that you make one of these albums. You can do it in any paper you like, but if you use this paper, grab it while you can. Have a great day. Happy crafting.